All right, so welcome back. This is session 17, When Weight Loss Stalls. And of course, our disclaimer is because this is a recording, you need to be sure to schedule a call with your lifestyle coach after this session and talk about what you learned in the session and then share your data. And before diving in, make sure you have your participant guide with you and your action plan notebook. And today we are going to talk about what to do when your weight loss stalls. The focus for today is how taking action when weight loss stalls can help you prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So we'll dive into reasons why weight loss can stall and how to start losing weight again, and then you'll make a new action plan.
Great. Okay, so let's start with the first objective, and this is kind of really what this is all about, is why weight loss can stall. So many people who make healthy lifestyle changes find that pounds come off quickly at first. Then all of a sudden they start to have trouble losing weight. Their weight loss slows down or even stalls. It's normal to have these periods of slow weight loss. And I'm going to repeat that. It's normal to have these periods of slow weight loss. It happens to everybody in the weight loss process. So we're going to look at an example. So if you could look at your participant guide on page 3, Roxanne's story. And I'm going to read the first 2 paragraphs in this story, and then we'll have a little talk about it. So Roxanne is at risk for type 2 diabetes. Her goal is to lose 22 pounds. So she starts eating well and being active. During the first 6 weeks, Roxanne loses 12 pounds. That's an average of 2 pounds each week. But she loses just half a pound a week during week 7, and she doesn't lose any weight during week 8. So, does this sound familiar to you? If it does, you are not alone. So if your weight loss stalls, the first step is to figure out why. So one reason your weight loss may stall is that you're not meeting your eating and fitness goals. So how do you find out if you're meeting your goals? So the answer is to track. And the 2 things that you want to be tracking is your activity and tracking what you eat and you drink. And we have said this in other lessons, but what the research has shown is that tracking really it's a very strong predictor of success. So ways you can look for this is in lesson 3. There's a section on it's about tracking your activity, and lesson 5 is about tracking your food. But I want to just kind of go show you this graph here that really looks at it in a very profound way. So on the left, we have these numbers that go from 6 down to negative 12. And then across, we've got the 1 to the 49. So these numbers on the left refer to the person's weight and where they've gone through through these different weeks. And so the number 0 is like the starting weight. And so then it goes 2, 4, 6. So that's weight gain. And then the numbers down to negative 12 is the weight loss. And then across, you're seeing the different weeks. So we got week 1, 5, 9, 13, and on and on. And if we just focus on that yellow line, and what I have highlighted there below is this is a typical weight loss course with people who are consistent with tracking, whether it's food or their activity or both. And this doesn't necessarily have to mean calories. It just means tracking, whether, like if you go to the gym and you write down what you're doing for your weights, or you're just writing what you eat every day, or taking pictures of your food. It can look very different, but just the idea of tracking, however you do it, is going to have a profound impact on your weight loss journey. Your weight loss may also stall because you've lost weight. So if you haven't changed your eating and fitness goals to match your lower weight, then that could be one of the side effects. So why do you need to change your eating and fitness goals when you lose weight? So what happens is the less you weigh, the less calories you need to maintain your weight. So just imagine you weigh 250 pounds and the amount of calories you need to maintain that size. And let's say you weigh 200 pounds, how many calories you need to maintain that size, and they're much less. So adjusting your calories as you've lost weight, is another thing to look at. So in order to lose weight after you've lost an initial weight, you need to continue to take in either fewer calories, or you need to burn more calories, or you can do a combination of the both. That means you need to change your eating and fitness goals. So your weight loss may also slow down if some of your weight loss is muscle. So why might losing muscle cause weight loss? Well, if you think about say we have our two people here who each weigh 200 pounds, and you're never going to find people like this, but one of those two people is solid muscle and the other person is solid fat. Same weight, just one has muscle, the other has fat. And let's say they're both sitting in chairs next to each other, and we could somehow measure how many calories they're burning just sitting there. The person who is solid muscle is going to be burning a lot of calories because of the muscle. The person who is solid fat is going to be burning very, very little calories because of there's little muscle. So muscle burns calories even at rest. So when you lose muscle, you don't burn as many calories. What makes people lose muscle when they're losing weight? Probably the biggest reason is they cut calories of the food they're taking in, but they're not exercising. So if you are, let's say you go on a low calorie diet but you're not doing any exercise, your body's going to go after the muscle first before it goes after the fat. So it's going to shrink your muscles more and more. And then what happens is, for a lot of people, then they go back to the normal way of eating, and they've got this lower amount of muscle, and then with the extra calories, they're adding more fat. So then they're having more fat. So it's kind of can become a vicious cycle. And this is why we stress so much that, the physical activity, how important it is, not only for losing weight, but for keeping it off. So the other thing is when you cut calories, your body at first burns stores of carbohydrate called glycogen. And these glycogen stores are primarily found in your muscles, a little bit in the liver. And glycogen likes to store with water. So when you stop losing this water weight, you also start losing body fat. So one really great scenario with this is the keto diet. And so, which, if any of you are familiar with that, it's basically a very, very low carbohydrate diet. So let's say you're starting off and you've got a lot of glycogen stores from the carbohydrate of your previous diet, that's in your muscles, along with all that water that likes to be around the glycogen. And then you start a keto diet, which has very low carbohydrate. Your body's going, shoot, where did you put the carbohydrate? I need it. So it's going to pull it from those glycogen stores in your muscle for its energy needs. And guess what? It's going to take the water with it. So a lot of times diets like the keto diet and Atkins diet, which is kind of the older version of keto, will work right at first, very quickly. People are just like, wow, I lost so much weight. And that's because your body's losing the glycogen and taking all that water with it. And that works well at first. And a lot of times it's not a long-term one, because it's really very challenging to eat a super low carbohydrate diet, for a long period of time. So it's not as sustainable, and that's why we get new versions of it all the time. The other thing is, so finally your weight loss may stall once you're no longer in the early stages of lifestyle change. So when you first start cutting calories to lose weight, your body loses some water. And for most people, weight loss slows down once they stop losing water. And like I said, in something like keto, you lose weight really quickly and then suddenly it's not losing as much because the water's gone.
All right. And so once you know why your weight loss has stalled, the next step is to make a plan to start losing weight again. And so let's say you find that your weight loss has stalled because you're not meeting your eating and fitness goals. Remember, it's normal to get off track with these goals from time to time, but the important thing is to get back on track and prevent similar lapses in the future. And so how can you get back on track? To get back on track, of course, stay positive and then use these 5 steps of problem solving. So the first step is describe the problems that get you off track. Step 2, come up with options for solving these problems. Step 3, choose the best options. 4, make an action plan. And 5, try it. And so let's say you find that your weight loss has stalled because you've lost weight and you haven't changed your eating and fitness goals to match your lower weight. Before you can set new eating and fitness goals, you'll need to find out how much your daily calorie needs have changed since you started this program. And so thinking back, we've talked about this before, what are daily calorie needs? So the calories you need to maintain your weight, those are the daily calorie needs. And these are based on your age, sex, height, build, and weight. And so how can you find out your daily calorie needs? Well, we would encourage you to ask your healthcare provider, or your lifestyle coach could help you figure that out. You could use a smartphone or a computer app, or there are plenty of online tools. Ones we often recommend might be certain programs or apps like MyFitnessPal, but you could also just type into Google or your search engine, calculate my daily calorie needs, and that will come up with just a calculator that you could put in some of that data and it'll tell you what you need. Okay, so then let's turn back to Roxanne's story and we'll finish that. So before she lost weight, Roxanne weighed 168 pounds. She needed 1,750 calories a day to stay at that same weight. Now that Roxanne weighs 156 pounds, she needs just 1,650 calories a day to maintain her weight. So that means her daily calorie needs have dropped by 100 calories. Since Roxanne's daily calorie needs have changed, she decides to set new eating and fitness goals. She makes small changes in her lifestyle to cut 100 calories each day. These days, instead of drinking a 16-ounce coffee with whole milk with breakfast, she has a 12-ounce coffee with skim milk. Plus, she now uses resistance bands while she watches TV, and this burns calories and builds muscle. So these small changes add up. Roxanne is now losing 1 to 2 pounds each week. So along with the rest of the story, we'll look at some visuals to go with that. So at the top here on page 4, we have a graph for Roxanne's weight. And you can see on the bottom, it lists the weeks. So week 1, when she started this program, you can see she was at 168 pounds. And you can see this green line is her goal weight, so a little over 145 pounds. And around maybe week 7, she started to stall with her weight loss. It kind of plateaued. And so like we saw from the story, she's now in about week 8, and she has had to reevaluate things. And so we see in this chart the same numbers that we talked about above. So at the start, she was 168, and her daily calorie needs to maintain her weight were 1,750. And now at week 8, she's at 156 pounds, and the calories she needs to maintain that weight is 1,650. So that was a difference in 100 calories. And we saw from the story some of those small changes that she made. But we want to dive into this a little bit more. So she made some of these small changes in her eating and fitness goals, and she was able to cut an extra 100 calories each day. But of course, you know, this was Roxanne's goal, so your goal might look different. Your situation could be very different. And so I know we already saw this from her story, but let's talk through this. So how could Roxanne cut those 100 calories? So she could either take in 100 fewer calories each day, she could burn 100 more calories each day, or do a mixture of the two. And so just for an example, 100 calories, that could look like a piece and a half of bread or 1 tablespoon of oil. And then if you were to burn 100 calories, that might look like walking 1 mile. And so what are some other ways for someone to take in fewer calories? You could choose drinks that have low or no calories. So we saw that with Roxanne. She switched up her morning coffee. You could control portion sizes. We also saw that. She had a smaller drink. And then you could use less fat. So she adjusted the type of milk that she used as well. And so what about burning more calories? So you could walk farther or faster or up steeper hills if walking is your method of physical activity. But then we also saw with Roxanne, she focused on building muscle. And so that's can be really helpful if you found that your weight loss has stalled. So if you are losing muscle, focusing again on building up that muscle would be really helpful to get you back on track. And so what could you do to build muscle? We saw with Roxanne, she started incorporating more resistant bands into her workouts, or you could lift light weights, or you could start doing wall push-ups or squats while you watch TV. So you have a lot of options like that.
Right
and
on.
then Sharon will talk about some more resources.
All right, so it's also a good idea to keep an eye on your weight log, and you might remember this from one of the beginning lessons. So keeping track of where your weight is, and if you have a weight graph, that can help as well because you're actually seeing the progress rather than just the numbers. It can also help you spot trends. So if you ever think your weight loss has stalled, let us know. We're here to help you figure that out, and so you can start losing weight again. And as Angie reminded us that there are apps and online tools that can help you graph these changes in weight. And then there's some resources here in this section of your participant guide. So we've got on page 5. These are a list of snacks that are under 100 calories. And so just see if any of these snacks sound good to you. Another one is ways to take in fewer calories. And so what they first start here was ways to use less fat. And, Angie said just, 100 extra, 1 tablespoon of oil is 100 calories. So that's a slam dunk if you just need to cut 100 calories. Or you can do things like this using cooking sprays, water or stock instead of oil. Lower fat products and replacing fatty sauces with lower fat options or no fat options. And then on this page, you can, if you're, with sweet drinks, you can replace them with some options here. And I think portion size is a really easy way to go. It's just kind of not skipping meals. You can measure your food. You can make sure you're using that healthy plate. Using smaller plates. These are all ways that really help to control portions. And the other thing that's not mentioned here, I think is really important, is just paying attention to your full signal. It takes 20 minutes for that signal to go from your stomach to your brain that you're full. And so if you're kind of eating slower or taking a pause, and you get that 20-minute point, then you might be eating less. Or, just kind of when you're feeling that kind of your tank is like 3/4 full, just kind of say, okay, even though there's a lot of food left on my plate, I can save that for later. And then the other part is about ways to burn 100 calories. And again, the 100 calories, that's Roxanne's story, but it might be different for you. So these are some ways here through household chores. and then also through sports. And as Angie mentioned, we know that about we burn about 100 calories per walking mile. So that's another way as well. So it might be just kind of adding that to any of these things to what you're already doing. So check off things that you think might work for you and give them a try.
Okay, so now it's time to work on your action plan. So think about some of what we've talked about in this session. If weight loss has stalled for you, this is a time to kind of reevaluate and maybe come up with an action plan to get you back on track. So remember, keep your action plan realistic, doable, specific, and flexible. And if you need help with this, after this session, during your call with your lifestyle coach, they can help you come up with a great action plan and some ways to get you back on track. And then with that, that brings us to the end of the session. So today we've talked about the importance of taking action when your weight loss stalls and how that can help you prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. So we've discussed why weight loss can stall and how to start losing weight again. And so after this recording, make sure to schedule a call with your lifestyle coach and bring your action plan and some notes about some of those options for taking in fewer calories or burning more calories. And then also be prepared to report your weight and your physical activity minutes. And with that, you're done. So thank you for attending this recording, and your lifestyle coach will talk to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.